So welcome to Thursday afternoon yoga. So let's just find a comfortable seat for the time being, just so we can take a couple of rounds of breath together so we can all come into the space together. And then, again, do whatever you need to kind of find a restful position as you sit. You can place palms face down on your thighs or face up. And I invite everyone to soften your gaze here, maybe even close your eyes. As you start to settle into quiet, into stillness. And then we'll all open ourselves up to receive an inhale through the nose. Open the mouth and release an exhale. Inhale through the nose. Open the mouth and release an exhale. And then last time, inhale through the nose. And then open the mouth and release a long, maybe even audible exhale. And then when you're ready, you can slowly start to open your eyes. So it's really nice to see everybody, and especially for the folks who continually to keep this a part of their day or their week and prioritize their yoga practice. I know for me, my yoga practice is the thing that helps make other things sustainable, especially when everything feels kind of chaotic. My yoga practice is the thing that I get to come back to that feels the most stable. So the theme that I'm working with this month is, or just kind of in my own practice, is like practices to stabilize the mind. And that yoga, you know, even though we kind of know it as like a physical body practice, is actually more of a kind of, it's a psychology, and it's used to still our mind, or at least bring some calm or some stability. And the philosophical text, or the text of yoga called the sutras, kind of outlines many different ways to stabilize the mind. And the one in particular that I've been like kind of playing with, especially this week, is I don't know if Patanjali, the guy who kind of wrote all of these down, if he meant there to be jokes, but I take it as a joke. And the one that I've been kind of playing around with is like, it's the one that says that concentrating on anything you want can help stabilize the mind. And so this, like, he kind of outlines some ways, right? Either you focus on the exhale, or you focus on a part of the body. And this one really gives us kind of free range to, like, whatever you can bring your mind to concentrate on, that can be helpful in your meditation practice, or that can be helpful to stabilize the mind. And so especially like as we kind of move in our bodies today, I invite you to like kind of choose one thing that you can focus on to stabilize your mind, right? It could be the exhale. We've been working with that for a couple of weeks, or if you've been in my other classes, that's the one that I've been like pinpointing. Or right, like a sensation of the body, like how you are connected to the ground, or the sensation of air on your skin, or the temperature. And so just choosing one that you can practice with today. And the thing about this is just for you to practice. Again, you don't have to perfect it, but it's something to help you kind of notice like what your options are to like bring stability to like your internal experience. I'll give a little antidote. I remember when I broke my ankle, I was really struggling to like stabilize my mind because I was just kind of in grief all of the time. And what worked for me previously was reading. And I remember I was reading Dune, and I could not get into the fantasy world because I was just so miserable. And so what I did was I ended up picking up ukulele because it was something that I could concentrate my mind on. And it wasn't the sense of like I was doing the ukulele, so I'll be a ukulele player. Like I'm not going to quit my day job to sing and play ukulele professionally, but it was something that I could tether my mind to, that all of the other stuff didn't get in the way. And so that's what I'm meaning about bringing concentration into your yoga practice, is like giving your mind something to tether to. Again, you don't have to be perfect at it, but it gives you an anchor into the present moment so that you don't get caught up in like the storms, that you can stay in kind of the pause and the rest and the calm, even if it's for a brief second. Sound okay? So I'm going to have everybody start in child's pose. And so either bring your big toes to touch or knees wide apart. If you know the heels seem far away, you can always bring a pillow or a blanket between. And then we'll outstretch the arms either in front of you, or you can wrap them behind you to kind of soften the shoulders. And then for underneath your head, if the floor again seems kind of far away or just is unattainable for the time being, just bring a prop underneath the forehead so that you can rest here. And then just take the time now to kind of settle the body, maybe wiggling for a little bit, indulging any last bit fidgets or adjustments, so eventually you can come to a place of stillness in the body. And then once you find this place of stillness in the body, again, keep your body in your awareness, but now start to include your breathing, where you're noticing each inhale as well as each exhale. Right, and even in this practice, kind of noticing how you can switch your attention, right, or direct your attention to something that's happening in the present moment. Giving yourself this experience of being the director of where your attention is going. And then from here, kind of play around with whether the body feels the most interesting to you, or a particular sensation, or the breath. Taking the time now to do the research of something that you can choose to be your anchor into the present moment. Again, you don't have to perfect it, or it doesn't have to be the 100% right one, right? It can just be something that you can make a part of your practice today to experience what it feels like to concentrate on one particular thing for your practice. And then you might notice, right, as we rest here, that the mind has a tendency to kind of fill in the gaps. And anytime you notice this, right, label this as thinking or the mind wandering, and invite your attention to come back to the anchor of your choice. And then when you're ready, if your arms are behind you, start to extend them out in front. And then we'll inhale here, come up onto your fingertips so that you can kind of tent up the hands. And then we'll walk the hands over to the left, and then pick up the torso and then rest it on the left thigh. As you press the hips back, press into the fingers and release the forehead down. settling into this shape, and then reorient your attention back to the anchor that you've chosen. And when you're ready, we'll inhale to come back onto the fingertips, and then start to walk your hands towards the opposite side. Move the torso onto the right thigh, and then press into your hips. Extend your hands forward to release back. And breathe here. And we'll inhale to come back to center. And then from here, keep your right arm long. And then we'll thread the left arm underneath and over to the right, and then come to rest on the left side of the face as you rest into this shape. And then take the time now and maybe press into the back of the left hand to make this shape a little bit more active as you press into the tips of the right fingertips. And then once you kind of start activating more of your body, bring your attention back to that anchor that you've chosen. Right, that you get to come back to this anchor in every single posture, right? That can be the thread regardless of what's happening on the outside. You can direct your experience of what's happening on the inside. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale. Extend the left arm forward, and then start to thread the right arm over to the left, and then come to rest on the right side of the face. Taking the time now to press into the back of the right hand to activate the shoulder kind of back musculature, and then press into the left fingertips. You're going to bring some more activation in the body. And then to bring concentration into the mind, come back into that anchor that you've chosen. Right, and if you were distracted in the beginning to find a place of concentration, you can always just choose something to direct the mind to. Right now, I'm going to focus on my breath. Or right now, I'm going to focus on what's happening underneath my fingertips. That in every moment, you get an opportunity to restart and refocus. And when you're ready, we'll inhale to extend the right arm forward. And then we'll start to move up into a tabletop shape. If you have a prop in the way, just start to move it. And then from here, walk your hands like a handprint forward. And then, we'll start to move the shoulders over the wrists. Pull in on the low belly. And then from here, I'm just going to show you so that you can see. You're going to rotate your arms so that the eyes of the elbows roll forward. Do you see this? Whoosh. And that there's strength in the back of the body. Okay? So from here, we'll inhale. And then going really slowly, right, as slow as you can go, lowering the torso onto the mat. So slow. And then releasing the nose down. All right. Then from here, resisting gravity, right? Now start to push up. Keep elbows right by the ribs as you lift the torso up. And then on your exhale, as slow as you can go, releasing the torso down to the mat until the tip of the nose touches the floor. Inhale to press back up. Again, elbows right by the ribs. And then last time, following your own breath, right? Lowering down to the floor. And remember that anchor to the present moment that you can focus on and concentrate on, even while we move through these more challenging shapes, or shapes that require a bit more strength. And when you're ready, we'll inhale to press up. And then on your exhale, start to stack your knees over your hips, hips over your knees, and then walk your hands forward. Bringing your forehead down to a prop or to the floor, or you can even keep it lifted if that feels better for you. And press out through your fingertips as you press back through your hips. And then imagine, right, it's that same kind of energy that we had before, that the outside of the arms are rolling forward. So much so that there feels like there's like a hollowing in your armpits. And maybe your armpits, like, metaphorically grow an inch, right? They don't really grow, but it's kind of like they extend a bit more. And then softening into your breath and come back to that anchor of your choice. And then we'll inhale to look up between the hands. And then walk your left hand back, keep your right hand forward, and then release your left forearm down to the ground, like straight back. And then on your exhale, release your forehead down to the floor to a prop, or keep it lifted as you extend out through the right hand and the right side of the body. Once again, anchoring your attention right to the object of your desire, whatever feels most pertinent to you and most interesting to you. And then when you're ready on your inhale, we'll look up between the hands and then switch sides. So walk the left hand forward, the right hand back, release the right forearm down to the ground, and then press your hips back. And breathe here. Stretching the left side of the body. As you once again kind of stabilize the mind by focusing on one object. And then when you're ready, we'll look up between the hands. And then inhale to lift back up. Walk the hands kind of back so that they're more or less underneath your shoulders. And then from here, we'll rock the hips forward again, and then rotate the outer arm bones. And then bend at the elbows, slowly resist gravity as we lower the body onto the ground. Then from here, I have to move back so I have space. Extend the left arm over to the left so that you're making like a T shape or like a 90-degree angle. And then bring your right hand underneath, left hand underneath your left shoulder, right hand extended out to the side. And then inhale here. And then your exhale to press into your left hand to roll onto your right side. So go as far as you feel a little bit of pulling or a little bit of tension, but not to the point of pain. As well as going to a place where you can still stay anchored into kind of the what you've chosen in the beginning or what feels really important to you right now, that you can stabilize the mind in. as we hold this shape. And then we'll inhale here. And then exhale to roll back onto the belly. Slide the right hand underneath the right shoulder, and then we'll switch sides. So extend the left arm over to the left. Inhale, and then exhale to roll into the left side. Again, go to a place where you feel that a little bit of tension, that there's like a pulling sensation that's happening. But you can still breathe fully here. And be particular about kind of where your mind can go, right? And know that, right, it's totally normal that the mind wanders in yoga poses, especially the more quiet ones. But always know that you have the option of kind of redirecting the attention that you have. That can be a really important part of your yoga practice that kind of moves beyond the mat. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale here, and then exhale to roll back onto your belly. And then inhale to press into your hands to bring yourself back into a tabletop shape. Okay. Then from here, tuck the toes, and then walk your hands, again, like a handprint forward. And especially if there's a lot of pressure on your wrists, you can always increase the angle by walking the hands forward and then working your way so that you can kind of move them back. That's not really the goal. The goal isn't to have them underneath the shoulders, but it's just so that there's like, you can hold it and sustain that shape. Then we'll inhale here. And then on your exhale, keep your knees bent as you lift the knees off of the ground. Inhale, and then exhale, release. Inhale to lift the knees off of the floor. And maybe starting to hold for maybe a breath round more or two. And then exhale to release the knees. All right. Last time, inhale to lift the knees up. And then bring that point of focus here, right? Where you can focus the mind while you are still in a point of challenge, right? That the mind can still go to the same place, even though the kind of requirements of the body have changed. And then exhale to release your knees down. Sit on your heels and then shake out your hands. Okay. Now, come back into a tabletop shape. Walk the hands out forward a little bit, and we'll inhale. And then exhale now to press your hips up and back, but keep your knees bent so that we can just focus on the spine for the time being. And we'll work from the hands up. So press into the forefinger, thumb, knuckle, forefinger and thumb knuckle side, as well as the outside of the hands. And then again, having that same activation of the arms where the arms are rolling down and the eyes of the elbows are rolling more or less forward. They're not going to go all the way. And then feel as if the space, like the deltoids, the upper shoulders, are rounding out towards the floor. And then reach through the crown of the head so that the neck is long, and then the shoulder blades are rolling down the back. Then from this place, start to press into the heels, extend the legs, and then feel as if the front of the legs are pulling and activating towards the hip crease. So that the front of the legs are really strong. And then feel from the butt area down to the heels, right? That they're not relaxed. That they're actually active and pushing actively into the ground. Then we'll inhale here. Open the mouth and release and exhale. We'll do that 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. Last time, inhale here. And then on your exhale, start to bend your knees to lower them onto the ground. But first keep them lifted for a moment or 2. And then release the knees down to the ground. Untuck the toes, sit on your heels, and shake it out. All right. Who said that downward dog was a resting pose? All right. So from here, come back into tabletop. We're going to work with down dog a little bit more. Inhale. And then exhale to lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. And then, do the same kind of focus where you're pressing down through the hands, especially the outer edges. Roll out the arm bones. And then release the crown of the head forward. Then start to strengthen the fronts of the legs, press back through the heels. And the heels don't have to touch the ground. My downward dog is very short, so I'm going to walk my hands forward, or my feet back. And then, continue to keep this activation happening here. And breathing. And then as we hold this shape, bring your attention back to that anchor that you can hold your attention into. And then when you're ready, we'll inhale to roll forward, lower the knees, keep them lifted for a moment or 2. And then release them down, untuck the toes, shake up the hands. Okay. Last time. Okay. Inhale to come into a tabletop shape. And then exhale to lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. And by this downward facing dog, maybe muscle memory is kicking in so that it's just happening more automatically. And that your point of focus, can go from being with the new thing of how to be in this downward facing dog to, again, being where you've chosen your attention to go to. And then when you're ready, inhale to reach the right leg behind you. And then on your exhale, we'll slowly release the right leg down. Then inhale to lift the left leg up. And then exhale to lower the left leg. Then inhale to lift the right leg up. And then exhale, look between the hands and slowly walk the right foot forward. It can take lots of steps. It can take 1 step or or you can kind of use the right hand to press the right leg forward. And then from here, being particular about how you'll hold this shape. So for me, it's really important to have the legs be really strong. So sometimes we can kind of hang out in the back leg. Press up so that the back of the left knee is open towards the ceiling. And that the right hip is pulling back as the left hip is pulling forward to engage the leg muscles here. Then from here, we'll inhale. And then exhale to soften into this shape, again, without losing the integrity of the legs. Then from here, we'll just try it for a second. Start to lift your hands, maybe an inch or 2. While you keep pressing down through the feet, and then imagine that the feet can rip the yoga mat underneath you. And then exhale to release your hands down. And then from here, we'll step the right foot back. Maybe you have to slide it really to meet the left foot. And then exhale to lower the knees. If you'd like, you can hover the knees, or if you've had it, you can kind of release them down. Shake out the hands and come to sit on your heels. All right. Intense lunge position. All right. So now, come back to tabletop. Again, if my pacing is too quick, you can always take a break. What's nice is you're in your living room, so you're the only one that's really with your practice, and so you get to kind of monitor how fast or how slow you'd like. Or if you'd like to be in child's pose this whole time, you're still doing yoga. Then we'll inhale here in the tabletop. Exhale to lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Then inhale to lift up your left leg. And then exhale to step the left foot forward. Low lunge. Okay. Then from here, so root down through the left foot, specifically the left big toe. And then strengthen through the back of the right leg, right? So that the back of the right knee is opening. Then from here, start to draw the left hip back, right hip forward to like bring all of the muscles in towards the pelvis. And then when you're ready, on your next inhale, slowly start to lift the hands up an inch or two. Even sort of like pulling in on the like belly so that you're not necessarily like sinking on the thigh, right? So that there's lots of strength and we're changing the load on the legs. And then exhale to release the hands down. Then when you're ready, on your inhale, we'll step the right foot forward to meet the left. You might have to bend the knees a lot to come into a forward fold. If you have a block or something for underneath your hands, great, grab it. If you don't, you can just grab opposite elbows. And then start to strengthen the fronts of the legs up towards the hip crease as you reach kind of from the butt all the way to the heels down. And then the outer hips, right? So from the knee to the outer hips are pulling up so that the legs are really strong here. And then you can kind of hang heavy, maybe rock side to side as you intentionally strengthen the legs and release the torso. And then draw your attention back to that anchor that you've chosen to bring you back into the present moment. Letting your breath be soft here. As you direct your attention to something that felt meaningful to you to watch and to witness and to be the thread of your practice. And then when you're ready, on your next inhale, bend your knees, place your feet flat on, your hands on the mat. And then from here, we'll step the left foot back, come back into a lunge shape with the right leg forward. And then inhale, right? Once you've started, you've like kind of chosen and like really been particular about your foundation, then start to lift the hands again. And then once you start to lift your hands, right, holding this shape and again, reorienting your attention to that place of focus, right, while this becomes a little bit more challenging or more is required of you to hold this. And then when you're ready, releasing the hands. All right. So from here, so we're going to kind of switch it up and increase the load a little bit. So what you can do is step the right foot back, right, as many steps as you like, and bring the left foot forward. Or, right, so that the body can adapt to this, there's going to be a jump and a switch. And it might be like a small little switch, but you'll switch so that the left foot is forward. Okay? I'll play around a little bit more with that. And then once the left foot is forward, again, pay particular attention to how like your foundation is set up. And like strengthen the legs here and strengthen your connection to the ground. And then on your next inhale, we'll slowly start to lift the hands, pull in on the low belly to rise here. And then when you're ready, slowly lowering the hands down. And then from here, And again, you might, if you have blocks or something to kind of lift you up, you can do that. But we're gonna practice this jump switch. So again, it can be like a little switch or a big switch to bring your right foot forward. Then inhale here and exhale. Then when you're ready on your next inhale, we'll just slowly start to switch back and forth. Again, you can always just walk if that feels better for you. But I'm encouraging this jumping sensation. And again, you don't have to do it perfectly, but it's just so that the body can be like, oh, okay, I'm adapting to this. This person's wanting me to lift and jump, so I'm gonna do it. And then when you're ready, the next time your right foot is forward, come into your low lunge position again, and then release the left knee down, untuck the toes. If you need more padding for your back knee, you can always use a blanket. And then from here, strengthen through the front leg. So wrap the left or the right heel, right hip back to your hip. I'm tired after the jumping. So you're wrapping the outside of your right thigh back towards the hip. And then you can start to kind of sink in the like left hip flexor. And then as you kind of release here, right, keep the left glute engaged as you soften the body forward. Breathing fully here. And then especially, right, if you notice that your breath is a bit quicker since the jumping, right, can you watch and witness that? And then reorient your attention to that point of focus you've chosen. And then from here, walk the right foot so that it goes to the outside of the mat. And then bring both hands to the inside of your right leg. Coming into lizard shape. So from here, you could stay on the hands. If you have a block or a book or something, you can bring the forearms down to the blocks. Or you can bring the forearms down to the mat. But making a choice that feels kind of, again, intuitive to you, but also something where you can still stay present with the anchor that you've chosen. Right? That's really the most important part of your yoga practice right now, is that we're working to stabilize the mind regardless of the circumstance, right? Regardless of the shape that we're in. And then when you're ready, on your next inhale, we'll slowly start to walk the right hand to the outside of the right leg as you draw the right knee back, or right leg back. And then step the right knee back to meet the left. Walk your hands forward, and you can either come into a puppy's pose, like so, or into a downward facing dog. Making a choice that feels good for you and your body. And then regardless, right, bringing your mind back to that point of focus, that place of concentration. When you're ready, we'll inhale to look up between the hands. And then make your way to step your left foot forward. First, we'll tuck the right toes, lift the right leg up, and then release the right knee down to the floor, untuck the toes. Then from here, we'll slowly start to move the hips forward, increasing the flexion that's happening in the front ankle. And then draw the left hip back as you extend the right hip flexor forward, but then also engage the back of the right leg. Right, so that the hamstring and the leg is still really like active. to help release the front side of the body. And then we'll inhale here. And then walk the left hand to the inside of the left leg. Walk the left foot over to the left side of your mat. And then once again, you can kind of decide what you'd like to do with your arms. Either keep them extended, add more support, come onto the elbows. Lots of ways you can kind of make this shape yours. As you, again, stabilize the mind into that anchor. Right, and even notice, right, if it's really hard to keep remembering the anchor, right, even noticing that, like, wow, my mind does not want to be with that anchor, right, is a practice of mindfulness, or is a practice of concentration. That, right, we don't have to perfect it. We do have to practice it, though. And when you're ready, when you're on your next inhale, move the left hand to the outside of the left leg, and then step the left foot back. Again, you can choose a downward facing dog or a puppy's pose. As you release the forehead down, stretch the hips back. And from here, inhale. And so you can come into this like supported plank pose, or you can come into a full plank pose if you're in downward facing dog. And then your exhale to lower everything down to the mat. Untuck the toes. Then from here, inhale to kind of lift up into a Sphinx shape. So lifting up into the Sphinx shape, and then you're going to take your right hand and thread it underneath the left arm. And then the left arm is going to thread the other way. And then you can release your forehead down. I'm going to move my blanket so that it can support my head, because the backs of my shoulders are just very, very tight. I don't know which way. And then releasing down like this. Something that helps me here is if you grab the back of your shoulders to kind of extend the space between the shoulder blades, and then release down. Softening into your breath here, as well as bring your attention to your anchor. And when you're ready, we'll inhale to lift the head up, and then unthread your arms. Come into the Sphinx shape for a moment or two, maybe wiggling out the hip. And then you'll switch sides. So whatever arm was on top, you'll thread it first, and then release the forehead down. Coming to rest in this shape on this side. Right, you might find that hugging the arms first feels really good, and then you can extend the arms out to the side. Softening into your breath here. Letting the ground hold you as you continue to make choices to stabilize the mind and focus your attention. Even if you have to keep doing it over and over again. And then when you're ready, slowly start to unwind. Bring your hands back into the Sphinx shape. And then extend the right arm up above you, and then start to like just kind of roll over to find the back body. And then move your props off to the side so it's just you and your yoga mat. And then bend the knees, place the feet on the floor. And then from here, let's kind of settle into your breath. Settle into the anchor that continues to be with you throughout your practice. And then from here, kind of take the right hand to the right shoulder, and then kind of grab the left hand to the left shoulder. And then curl the chin in, start to tuck the lumbar into the floor. And then start to keep hugging, hugging, hugging. Again, stretching the space between your shoulder blades, and then exhale to release down. With your back on the mat, you can even tuck the chin slightly in again to kind of hug the shoulders in. And then when you're ready, we'll kind of switch the cross of the arms so you can extend them out. And then hug the shoulders once again. And then inhale. Tuck the chin in. Press the low back into the floor. Exhale here. And release down. Maybe even tucking your chin slightly in. I kind of exaggerate the thoracic spine pressing into the ground. And then release your arms down by your sides, and I'll actually have everybody extend them out above you so that the back of your shoulders are on the ground. If that feels very intense for your shoulders, you can always have a blanket up here to bring the floor closer. Oh, that was my bolster. And just let like your shoulders release down, and you can play around with involving pelvic tilts here where you press the low back into the floor. And then press the tailbone, extend the belly up. Press the low back into the floor, maybe even pressing the feet here. And then exhale to release. You can start to bring the feet out to the side, and then windshield wiper the knees right and left. All right. So bring your hands down by your side. And then if you have a chair or a wall space, or if you're like next to your bed, we're going to find a legs, like a Viparita Karani, where your legs are up the wall. So conveniently, I have this tiny little wall space that works for me, but you can place your feet or legs on the chair. And so you'll roll. How I do this is I bring one side of my body as close to the wall as I can. I roll onto my back, and then you kind of walk your feet up, and then rest here, like so. Try to have it so that your toes are like, might have a tendency to turn out. You want them to turn in and parallel. And then if you'd like some more shoulder work, you can again play around with having that extended shoulder, like arms back behind you. And try to, if you're using a blanket, try to have the blanket underneath your forearms so that your head can still be on the ground. And then release into this shape as best you can, right? Being particular about how your body will hold this. as well as kind of treating this shape as a way to practice self-care. As you once again kind of bring your mind to something that can anchor you into this present moment. Whether your choice has stayed the same since the beginning of class or if it's shifted to accommodate what works for your attention. Know that as long as you are practicing being committed to something in your yoga practice, you are working towards stabilizing your own internal psychology. So you can continue to stay in this shape if this feels pretty nourishing, or if you just got into it. Or if you like, you can transition into a full lying down Shavasana, where you bring the knees into the chest, roll onto one side, and just extend your body out as best you can without a lot of fidgeting. Just let your kind of body unfold into a position of stillness as best you can. And then regardless of the shape you're in, I invite you now to release your attention off of that one anchor, to soften into an experience of expanding your awareness, to just be with whatever arises for you in this moment or in these moments, as we rest together in the final moments of class in silence and stillness. Begin to deepen your breath here. And slowly begin to bring your attention back into your body and into the space that you're in. And then eventually starting to bring movement into your body to eventually support you in getting yourself into a comfortable seat, whatever that means to you. And then you can place your palms face down on your thighs or your hands together in front of your heart, as I invite you all to bow your head towards your own heart. To acknowledge that the goal of yoga is to stabilize the mind so that we can see clearly what's underneath. To know that once we get through the storms of the mind, there is calm, rest, and our true nature for us to witness, to see, and to truly embody. That underneath it all, we truly are just light and love, and connected to every single person, every single living being on this planet. Thank you so much for practicing with me and working with the mind so that we can all see things a little bit clearer and with more love. A deep bow of gratitude to every single one of you. Thank you. Thank you so much for spending your Thursday afternoon with us. We'll continue teaching classes while this is all happening, and really love the fact that I really love that you all get to practice with me in my living room. And hopefully we'll see you soon. Have a lovely rest of your afternoon. Okay.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.